we thought it would be an interesting topic of the report. But not only that, let me tell you a few things and pick up on some of those comments that you made. The first point I would say, and which we highlight in the report, is the fact that blockchain, it's a very different type of emerging technology, certainly very different to the technology that's grabbing all the headlines right now. I'm thinking here of generative AI. And it's different, and maybe this is also why we haven't seen so much adoption to date, is because we're dealing with value and money. We're dealing with the transfer of value and the transfer of money. And the moment we do that, we enter into a regulated domain. So that's the first point. The second point is, well, blockchain doesn't really come with a prominent front end or user interface. It's a backend infrastructure technology that makes it really hard for the average person, or for anyone really, to visibly see and feel how it will be innovative. And that's why we haven't really seen mass adoption. We've been talking about it, Patrick, like you said, for the last, God knows how many years. Some would say 10 years, some would say 15 years, some would say more. And in our report, we argue that blockchain will not have a chat GPT moment. But, and here's the punchline, we say that we are at an inflection point, and that by 2030, and this is our thesis, it will be measured in billions and in trillions, and that people will be using it without realizing they're using it. In the same way, perhaps, you, like me, use Netflix today. You don't really care what the underlying technology is. You care about good quality content and ease of use. So the real key takeaways and why we think we're at this inflection point now, which drove us to write the report, is because number one, we are seeing the traditional industry coming together and buying into the technology. So whilst innovation always starts at the fringes, to get to scale, you need the traditional players adopting it. And that could be financial institutions, it could be exchanges, it could be regulators, it could be central banks. And this is slowly and slowly starting to happen. That's the first point. The second point, you touched on regulation in your intro. Well, we are actually seeing some very encouraging regulatory developments with what's happening in the UK on smart legal contracts, what's happening on trade finance, which paves the way for trade finance to eventually go on the blockchain. And these are just a few examples of some of these encouraging blockchain or DLT regulatory developments. And the third point is that the buy side, the investors, are looking to distribute their funds via tokenization. And Lubna will cover some of those technicalities in detail. But essentially, they're looking for tokenized solutions. And they're going to the sell side and asking, hey, what can you do for us? So we have witnessed, and I'm sure you guys and the people on this call have seen some of those announcements by private market investment firms launching tokenized funds to reach a new class of investors. So I hope that helps paint a picture for why we think that this time it's different, and what ultimately drove us to write a 160 page